Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests and fellow anatomy enthusiasts, I'm truly delighted to welcome you to this exceptional event as we gather to celebrate World Anatomy Day with 3D Organon. Allow me to introduce myself as Tatiana Tsialouki, the Digital Marketing Manager of 3D Organon and your host for this exciting webinar. Today, we invite you to immerse yourself in a journey in a captivating realm of anatomy education. Anatomy is not merely a science, but the essence of life itself. It enables us to understand the intricate structures of the human body and unlocks the secrets of the human form. 3D Organon stands at the forefront of revolutionary innovations in anatomy education. This event holds particular importance for 3D Organon as it symbolizes our commitment to advancing the boundaries of anatomical learning. It is an honor to have an esteemed guest speaker, Dr. Shahed Nalla, joining us today. Dr. Nalla is an associate professor of human anatomy at the Faculty of Health Science in University of Johannesburg, South Africa. His extensive experience in teaching human anatomy at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels, combined with his adept use of cutting-edge anatomy technologies, makes him an invaluable contributor to the field. Dr. Nalla's insight and expertise will guide us on a journey into the future of anatomy education, where we explore the profound impact of innovative methods such as the 3D Organon VR Anatomy. Today, he will share his knowledge and experiences, offering us a deeper understanding of his transformative approach. So without further ado, let's prepare to embark on a journey that promises to ignite your passion for anatomy, enhance your knowledge, and open up new horizons. We'll celebrate World Anatomy Day and explore the synergies encapsulated in the 4AR world. So, Dr. Nalla, we're ready for you.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you, colleagues from the anatomy world. Thanks for taking your time. And I know it's valuable time. Anatomists generally fight for time. So I thank you for attending this World Anatomy Day webinar. And as indicated by Tatiana, I'll be talking about anatomy teaching and important synergies encapsulated within the 4R world. So I just need to, go to the next slide. Just need to see why doesn't it want to progress. Okay. So the outline for this webinar this morning, I'll talk about my journey in anatomy. Then I'll talk about the University of Johannesburg and its offerings. We'll go deep into the anatomy at UJ and what modalities are currently being used and what was used previously as well. We'll investigate future projects, looking at SOTL in anatomy, that's the Scholarship of Teaching and Learning. We'll also explore collaborations that the department is involved with, and we'll open up then the session for some question and answers. Firstly, I would like to declare that I am a member of the 3D Organon Scientific Advisory Committee, and there is no material financial benefit in participating in that advisory committee, nor in communicating through this webinar. So my journey has been a long one. This is my 50th year that I'm involved in anatomy at the University of Johannesburg and its precursor institution, the Technikon Witwatersrand. So my journey commenced in 1994, where I was tasked to establish the anatomy department at the institution. I was also tasked to look at new programs that were being offered and then to build facilities related to those new programs. The construction was not only in bricks and mortar, but the construction was also related to the curriculum of these programs. I was promoted to senior lecturer in anatomy in 2012, and then to associate prof in 2017. And I'm currently embarking, and I wish to put up my hand for full professorship early next year. Other portfolios within this 30-year journey I've been an HOD for the Human Anatomy and Physiology Department. I've been Vice Dean, Research, Innovation, Internationalization. I've been acting as the Executive Dean. I've been Vice Dean, Teaching and Learning. I've been an acting HOD for another department in the faculty. And I've been involved in many committees at an institutional level. The context of the University of Johannesburg, it's a comprehensive university that was formed in 2005 with the amalgamation of a number of institutions, the Technikon Witwatersrand being one of them. It's composed of 4 campuses situated within the Greater Johannesburg Metro. It's a big institution comprising more than 50,000 students, 4,500 staff, of which full-time staff members, we're looking at academics of 1,500 and academic support staff. It's composed of 7 faculties and a college, and the Faculty of Health Sciences is one of those faculties. And within the Faculty of Health Sciences, we have a number of departments. The Department of Human Anatomy and Physiology being one, but the other departments are all involved in the training of independent health practitioners who then leave the institution upon their graduation and are involved either in private practice or could be involved in government institutions, the public hospital system, or even working within the greatest city of Johannesburg Metro. So the Department of Human Anatomy and Physiology is considered to be a service department of especially undergraduate programs. And in anatomy, we could split this offering into first-year offerings, where we see that these are primarily introductory, and the route of anatomy that gets taken is systemic anatomy. The second-year offerings in many of the programs would be a carry-through from first year. In some of the programs, we do full body dissection. In other programs, students will utilize specimens and models. We're also offering the department a master's offering by coursework, and we recently acquired the master's and PhD offerings in full research within the department. So we could always divide anatomy, like many institutions have done so overseas as well, into a pre-COVID, during COVID, and a post-COVID period. So the pre-COVID period was when anatomy was offered primarily in a more traditional sense, okay? And we will see that we would have the normal talk and chalk in the first year offerings. It would be contact lectures, there'd be contact practicals, and everything will happen on campus. With the onset of COVID, we were all thrown in to the deep end, and we had to start utilizing the available technologies that were within the anatomy world. And fortuitously, we were utilizing a system of blended teaching or blended learning within the department, where we were already engaged with many of the technologies that were available at the time. And with COVID, there were many initiatives by the private industries who developed programs, who developed apps, who then came to the fore to then assist in the delivery of many of programs internationally as well as nationally. So when we look at our first year offering, as I mentioned, introductory, systemic or systematic, and it is very closely linked to physiology because these are generally shared modules. 3D Organon has been fantastic, especially for the introductory first year anatomy offerings. So the facility that we currently have, and before I go to the facilities, a colleague of mine who could be deemed a champion for the utilization of 3D Organon as well at the first year level is Dr. Sindika Ishwakumar. So the facilities that we utilize are an area referred to as an osteology lab, what's referred to as the museum, and also what's referred to as the computer lab. So these are the main spaces in which the first year offering takes place. And the students would come in, especially for their practicals, and they will utilize plastic models. We will show them pro-sections, but this is where 3D Organon has come in. And this is where the students can get a three-dimensional, full, holistic view when looking at structures, for example, in the central nervous system. So they would have their theory lectures in a normal lecture venue. And then the hand-on experience will be dealt with where they would come in, utilize models, but also utilize the Oculus headset on which 3D Organon exists. So what we have is 3D Organon allows for the students to get a context specifically of the structures that they're observing in the model or in a two-dimensional picture that they may be viewing. And this spatial relationships of structures is an important aspect in the learning by students. They don't only look at nervous systems, so part of the systems they would look at is the muscular system. And here, for example, we see that they can actually detach a specific muscle. And this provides then a context for looking at muscle that may be lying deeper to a particular muscle, and also engage in the functionality related to muscle. The fantastic menu that's available for them is that they're engaging with something that makes the anatomy a lot more tangible. So it is not just looking at the talking chalk. It is not just engaging with models, but it is also engaging with 3D Organon, for example, which allows them to get, as I mentioned, a three-dimensional aspect related to the structures that they are dealing with. Context in anatomy is absolutely vital. So 3D Organon will give them an opportunity to have an overview of, for example, the cardiovascular system divided into its arterial and its venous networks. Important for these students at the first year level is to have context of structures within the human body. And 3D Organon definitely allows for that to take place. At the second year level, here we have the specialized offerings in the programs of chiropractic and complementary medicine, in podiatry, where there is a full dissection of the human body in the case of the chiropractic and the complementary med students, and dissection of the lower limb, or especially the podiatry students. And included in this program, they re-look at the osteology that was dealt with in the first year, but they're putting now more meat, in inverted commas, to the bones that they've studied. So the dissection involves, as I mentioned, a full dissection of the human body, where students will commence their journey in the thoracic region. In other offerings, for example, the third year optometry offering, students would primarily engage with pro-sections. And once again, 3D Organon affords these students an opportunity to engage with dissected specimens and also engage with, let's call it, some theory associated with what they are dissecting. So an important aspect for the students is the pre-post involvement in the materials that they're going to be dealing with, and also then engaging at a specific point in time with a particular region. So the second year offering is regionally focused, But what 3D Organon allows is a contextualization of the regions and how they interact with other regions as well. So students will commence their journey in the dissection hall, where we have 20 cadavers. Students work 4 to 5 students per cadaver, and we've got a schedule at which specific targeted objectives have to be met on a roster that the students are engaged with from the commencement of the academic year. Present within the dissection hall are the lecturers, are the table doctors who are actively engaged with students. But this is where technologies come in synergy with the actual body dissection. So students involved in the dissection hall can step through a door that is situated just off screen and go and engage in the museum area, where they can utilize the 3D Organon systems that are available. So this interaction allows for an engagement with the technologies that are available in teaching, and also a comprehensive engagement with the cadavers or the bodies that are present within the dissection hall. An important aspect of why students still need to go and embark with the traditional aspect is they can observe variations that may be present within a particular organ. And yes, 3D Organon allows for this type of engagement to take place as well. So students will start and look at topographical anatomy, where they need to have an understanding of not only a particular structure or a particular organ, but how these lie immediately in relation to other structures. And 3D Organon affords the students an opportunity to dissect, to prepare for the dissection, engage in preparation for, and dissection requires a separation of tissues rather than too much cutting. So 3D Organon affords the students to engage with a pre-preparation for dissection, where they can become familiar and they can literally cut or separate to plan their course on a proper body. 3D Organon also has sectional anatomy, which again gives a different perspective to students on how structures lie relative to each other. And this is a very important aspect that we continuously emphasize with our students, that it is not that you only learn a particular organ or anatomy of that organ or structure related to that organ, but immediate or more important is how these structures align and relate to each other. And this is where the technology, for example, with 3D Organon, where students can have a totally immersive experience and engage with the human body. Also available, and this is where students, because now they've got a textbook literally on hand. So while we encourage the students to bring their hard copy atlases and hard copy dissection manuals, this availability of an immediate theory related to any particular structure allows for the students to engage and visualize the words that they read in text. And the interactive nature associated with 3D Organon, they don't only look at particular muscles in a muscular system, but they can interplay between the systemic as well as the regional. 3D Organon also affords opportunity for students to look at microscopy. So going back to first year, there needs to be an understanding of tissues, of cells, so that they have a better understanding of the physiological processes that they're going to be engaging with. And this is now available literally in a one-stop shop, which the technology of 3D Organon affords the opportunity for students to engage with. And it's a pity I can't show this, but if you do engage with the 3D Organon, there's various views that one can engage with and rotate structures to give that holistic understanding of the anatomy that students are busy engaged with at a particular point in time. In certain regions where the structures are pretty small, so these regions, for example, the extraocular muscles associated with the orbit or the internal laryngeal musculature, while they can see these on the cadaver, it becomes a lot more clear when they engage with 3D Organon. So they can zoom in to a particular region, tap on a particular muscle, and see and understand the action of that particular muscle as well. And this is where the important aspect relates to the move away from rote learning to a greater understanding of structures present in anatomy. Specific regions can be engaged with at a more deeper level than even the traditional body does not and cannot do because of the size of the particular structure that they may be engaged with. A fantastic experience is the full immersive 3D experience, where students can literally go into a particular chamber, like we've gone in this sequence of diagrams, and get a better understanding of, for example, the valve structure associated with heart valves, the structures that they will engage with, and how these heart valves, these cusps of these valves, are intimately related to other structures that are internally visible within a particular chamber. So they see it on a dissected heart, but this experience where they literally walk through a particular organ gives a different view, an opportunity for the student to be an engaged learner with any material that they have. So the fully immersive 3D experience that the students have in the technologies available, for example, in the case of 3D Organon, is fantastic. Students are also afforded the opportunity to self-assess. So brilliant are these simple quizzes that form part of the 3D Organon program. Students can gauge the levels of knowledge that they have by going and embarking on these quizzes that form part of 3D Organon, its content. And this is an opportune time for students to see whether they are on the correct path. If there's any areas of misunderstanding, these could provide early alerts to the students and afford them the opportunity to then engage with the academic staff present within, for example, the dissection hall. That's at the first year and the second year level. With the Masters of Artificial Intelligence, we have a module where the students come in and look at brain morphology. So these majority of these students, if not all these students, are engineers with very little biological knowledge. And the opportunity, the 3D Organon, the technologies available for them to engage with, and once again, have an overview of structures related to brain. This opportunity is fantastic through 3D Organon. So the students literally come in, they do a brain dissection where they will explore brain and coverings associated with the brain, and then literally do these transverse sections on real brain tissue. And very similarly, 3D Organon affords those students the opportunity to do those sections, be they transverse or coronal. Once again, to afford a complete, comprehensive overview of the anatomy related to brain. This engagement, like we see, microscopic view of the central nervous system are available on hand for these students, which is an important aspect because, once again, they need to understand the physiological processes that are happening at neurons, for example. One of the departments we have is the Department of Medical Imaging and Radiation Sciences. And the fantastic opportunity now in bringing in DICOM images as well as ultrasound affords students who are in their first year, for example, of doing diagnostic radiology, or even looking at CT scans, looking at DICOM images. They get a better understanding by looking at the prosections, looking at the models that are available, and then physically engaging with what they're going to be engaging with one day in practice. So this preparation of handling an ultrasound machine, for example, a handheld ultrasound that gives them the image that they're going to be looking at and the related structures. Fantastic opportunity 3D Organon affords to these students. And that takes me then to my final slide. That future projects that we will have is, one, this museum area is going to undergo a complete conversion, where we're going to be constructing a green room where there's going to be screens alongside those walls, where the Oculus machines, headsets are going to be available for students. So it's going to be a fully immersive environment, once again, that students can engage with. Especially the link with scholarship of teaching and learning, the research impacts of VR, AR, XR technologies on students' understanding is going to be evaluated and analyzed and researched. So the contribution of the technology is not only to teaching, but it's also to research. A contentious current issue that is being dealt with is the ethics in anatomy, especially related to imaging. Another research area that we will be engaging on. Collaboration and partnerships that will allow for us to adapt and adopt technologies. Adapting technologies, how can these technologies be improved? And I am part of the 3D Scientific Committee, 3D Organon Scientific Committee. So I will be engaging and feeding back for improvement that may be required in certain aspects of the technologies that are available. But internally, the technologies like 3D Organon allows for interdepartmental engagements with biokinetics, with MERS, as we've indicated, with other faculties like the Faculty of Engineering, where we're looking at bioengineering, as well as then the Institute of Artificial Intelligence, where we are going to be involved further with looking at neurosciences. External engagements, we've recently had visits from other medical schools, and they've engaged with us because they've seen the technologies, 3D Organon that we are utilizing within the department. And they've engaged again because they wish to invest in the technologies that will be synergistic, and this is the important aspect, supporting the traditional way of teaching and learning in anatomy. So UJ is becoming the central key institution, which is engaging with sister institutions, be it provincially or even nationally, in the utilization of technologies for teaching anatomy. I thank you for affording me the opportunity to give you an indication of how UJ is involved in anatomy teaching and the utilization of technologies available. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Dr. Nalla. Your presentation has provided us with a wealth of information. Your future projects really seems promising, and we will see more in the future, of course. So now it's time to turn the spotlight to our participants. So your questions are the key to expanding our understanding further. We welcome all inquiries, so please don't be shy. Let's make this Q&A session as informative and engaging as possible. So you can write your questions here in the Q&A session. Oh, okay, have some questions at the chat. Okay. We have this big question here. Mr. Swat Alaz Demir says that he has several questions. Let's begin. Are you using multi-user platform at the same place with students where everyone gets into VR in a classroom?
Thank you for the question. So currently the restriction that we do have is the number of VR sets. So while the idea is to take these students into the true metaverse, which 3D Organon allows for, that engagement is going to be engaged with further. So currently we have a total of 15 headsets that we're utilizing. Not all have a full subscription to 3D Organon, because the costs associated, and especially the rand-dollar exchanges, etc., do impact on the affordability of many of the technologies. The other challenge we have is the power availability. So we do have blackouts, which impacts on our teaching. But yes, within the same space, and as I've indicated, the students can engage with in small groups within especially that museum area that we saw. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, of course, but you cannot also use the multi-user in any place you want. Just to add this. When using VR in a lecture, does lecturer use assistant as lecture nearly cuts off his relationship with real world? And do you think it's an efficient way for class lecturing?
Thank you for that question as well. I don't think it's a total cutoff. And this is where the multiple modalities come in. So even in the classroom situation, even the practical situation, with the hands-on specimens that may be available, there isn't this total separation. Because for me, the engagement with the students is an absolute important aspect. So one will utilize the different modalities. There's never a total cutoff from the real world. It's an engaged process where one can jump in, utilizing what's best available for that particular point in time and the particular group that we're engaged with. And this is a fundamental aspect. We offer anatomy, let's call it a specialized program for some of our second years, like I've alluded to, but we do cater and we temper, we modify, we adjust our offerings of anatomy specifically for those groups that require specific areas of import. So for example, the biokinetic students, they may be more interested in musculoskeletal neuro. We will emphasize those over the digestive system, for example. So there's never a disengagement from the real world situation, but rather an adaptation on how this real world is utilized.
Thank you. And we have to remember that there is always the pass-through environment that we can actually combine the real world and the VR. So that would be a nice solution. Also another question, if you have VRs for students, do they need the VR system usage training before starting to use it, or do they start using it straight?
You know, fortuitously, I think the generation that we're dealing with is very engaged with and familiar with the technologies that are available. So they can literally hit the ground running. And, you know, I'm humbled by sometimes the students teaching me the tricks of the technology. So you know, they do come in with some background, because many of them do have similar technologies at home. And, you know, for the students, there is this aspect that lends itself to almost a gamification for want of a better word, where they engage with it, and the fun aspect of teaching and learning comes in. So when they do engage with these technologies, they definitely come in with an advantage. So they hit the ground running. There may be some getting used to the environment of 3D Organon and what 3D Organon has to offer. So we do prompt them, but they are explorative. And the best way to learn is for them to explore by themselves. And we allow them to do that as well.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so another question says, can you guide me about the development of anatomy module using XR? How to adjust schedule for anatomy modules?
Thank you. Anatomy time is always of the essence. So how you utilize developing, one has to make sure that you have structured time for certain activities. So where you're engaging with the theoretical aspect, where you're engaging with the practical, I think it's important that you have specific structured activities planned from the onset, that students know exactly what they are going to be engaging with. So the preparation that such a schedule affords the students would be a great opportunity for them to learn as well. So, we start our year literally with a full year plan that a particular student knows that in week 35, this is what they're going to be lectured upon, this is what they're engaged with. So that preparation aspect needs to be properly structured to incorporate these multiple modalities. Yes, there may be some times when you're not going to utilize the technology, and then you emphasize this is where you're going to be bringing in the other aspects. But we try to bring in the synergies, that we schedule time for particular aspects related to ensuring that the students get the full experience during a particular offering.
Okay, thank you. Miss Victoria said that she needs a trial. If you want a free trials, you can actually send us an email to prosupport.3dorganon.com. So let's see the other questions. Okay. So we have this, it was an enlightening presentation. Lastly, I'm wondering if medical doctors, interns or residents use DICOM platform, both for their case approach planning, surgical planning, and education purposes.
Thank you for your question. I think this incorporation of DICOM, the ability in 3D Organon to literally go and perform surgical procedures affords the students a fantastic opportunity to practice on what they're going to be engaging with. Yes, we did have these short learning programs, or let's call them engagements with surgeons. So some surgeons will come in and perform on the actual specimen in front of them, a particular surgical procedure. We've done that, when the need was there. And the technology that 3D Organon affords the surgeons in training or interns is an opportunity that needs to be grabbed, definitely.
Yeah, actually, yeah, the DICOM viewer is an excellent for planning surgery, for surgical planning. It's a nice use case. So now, do you use also screens with VR where other users can watch? I think
this is where we will, like I've said, we're converting this into a green room. So the current way we do it, we do project to either the computer screens or to screens that we have situated in, for example, our osteology lab or even the computer lab. So there is the projection. But the plan is, like I said, a total conversion of a particular venue for a full immersive. So you can see what's on the headset, gets projected onto screens. It's a bigger bang for buck, to put it that way. And yeah. it's something that is being planned, definitely.
Yeah, that's really nice. To Miss Victoria, let me say again, it's pro-support at 3dorganon.com. If you want trials, if you have any questions, you can send us an email anytime. So are there any other questions for Dr. Nalla? Okay, I think we are done with questions. Dr. Nalla, do you like to add anything?
Besides, like I said, I'm truly honored that 30 years after engaging with anatomy and still engaging, that there's these fantastic technologies available for a better experience of both the lecturer and the student. That we need to grasp, we need to grab these with both hands, and it's to always benefit the student in their learning experience, but ultimately to ensure that they are graduates who are competent, because we are letting them onto a public that needs to make sure that these are well-trained, knowledgeable students. And the fantastic part of this, these technologies do get utilized one day in practice as well. So they engage with their patients to say, you know what, this is what we intend doing. This is the anatomy behind. So where they would grab a textbook off a shelf previously, they now engage with patients and explain things better utilizing the technologies. The synergy is there.
Yeah, exactly. So another question is that if there will be a recording, of course, the video of this webinar will be available on YouTube later today. So as we draw the curtains on this remarkable event, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Nalla for this wonderful presentation, and of course, each and every one of you for being a part of our World's Anatomy Day celebration with 3D Organon. What an incredible journey it has been, really, delving into the world of anatomy education and embracing the cutting-edge innovation that shape its future. 3D Organon is committed to providing innovative tools and solutions that empower educators, students, and anatomists in their quest for knowledge. And we hope that you leave this webinar not only enriched with insights, but also inspired to explore the vast world of anatomy. So together, we have celebrated World Anatomy Day, embraced the future, and taken a step closer to unraveling the magnificent mysteries of the human body. So until we meet again, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep celebrating the beauty of anatomy. Goodbye and happy World Anatomy Day. Thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Nalla. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye.
Bye.